Yan, ganyan. There is the caverns.
Ginagawa mo.
Dali, dali. Sila na eh.
Naghihintay lang. Ganyan na siya ang time nila.
Going to the Luray Cave, Virginia.
Gentlemen, so on August the 13th of 1878, three men, Andrew Campbell, William Campbell, and Benjamin Douglas, Washington Column, in honor of the United States' first president, George Washington. Our next stop will be on the head in our amphitheater.
Yan. Ay, umaandar pala siya. Wait. Nalimutan ko. Okay. Friend, ano na?
Dahan-dahan na, baka gumulong ka. Going down to the cave, inner part of the cave. Papasok na.
Sige na, pumwede ka na.
Baba pala. Ingat kayo, pababa.
Ingat kayo.
Ladies and gentlemen, this cavern is about 400 to 450 million years old, dating back to the Ordovician period, and to be what's known as a solutional cavern. Now, how this particular solutional cavern formed, there was once an inland sea that made up the valley above us. And due to a tectonic plate movement called an upshift, it would allow the water to begin to drain down and start the basis of our cavern's formation. Now this water would mix with carbon dioxide, creating what we call a mild carbonic acid. No more acidic than the average Coca-Cola, it would slowly eat away the weaker minerals, that lie within the bedrock, leaving behind these large open chambers that you see here today, and allow for what we call secondary growth of our formations. Now, the first and most basic type of secondary growth we discuss is called dripstone. Dripstone forms as water comes down from the ground above, picking up mineral and placing it on the ceiling, creating our stalactites. The same mineral water will then drip to the floor to create our stalagmites. When the two come together, they form what's known as a column or pillar. It takes on average 120 years to form 1 cubic inch of formation. For reference, that's about the same size as a Cheez-It cracker. And there's several colors that call the cavern home. The first of which is a rust orange coloration like you see over here. This comes from iron oxide deposits, while the pure white coloration comes from pure calcite. And the gray or black coloration comes from manganese oxide. A fourth color you'll see throughout the cavern is a green pigmentation. This is our cave moss and cave algae. Its growth is facilitated by the heat from our lighting system, the relatively high 87% humidity, and plant microbials brought in on our bodies. How to tell if a formation is growing? You'll notice there are some formations toward the back corner of this large indentation here that look wet and glossy. That tells us that they're still actively growing. First, I drew your attention to many of the stalactites directly above me. You notice they look much drier and rockier. This tells us that they are dormant and not. Now, the broken part actually has to do with where people were able to remove formations as souvenirs. That practice would actually happen from the time the cavern first opened until the early 20th century. And it would actually take until mid to late 20th century for the U.S. government and state of Virginia to actually realize that's a bit of a problem for their caves and caverns spread throughout. So, does anybody have any questions? Alright, so we'll next be passed up.
Oh, this is the cave.
They can fall on occasion, but it's very rare. In fact, we'll talk about one that fell later on. I could have swore I saw another question in the back. Yes?
How old is this cave?
About 400 to 450 million years old. Million. Alrighty, so ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to be heading to our next stop. Now on the way there, we're going to be passing by something called Dream Lake. It's the cavern's largest body of water. It's about 2,500 square foot, has an average depth of 2 to 3 inches, with the deepest point being 18 to 24 inches in depth. Water moves in a manner that you're going to see an optical illusion take place. This is due to it being moving slow enough that it's not disturbing silt and sediment, and it's not moving fast enough to really disrupt the surface tension on the top.
A few moments later.
That's the water reflection from the top. Wow. Reflection from the stalactite to stalagmite. Reflection niya ng sa tubig, tapos yung galing sa taas ay stalactite, ang reflection niya stalagmite, but actually reflection lang sa tubig. That is the water here.
That's the water,
Yeah, that's the water here below,
under there,
and then that's the reflection
from on top.
from the top. Reflection.
Very nice.
What? Reflection.
Ate, halika para kang picture ka.
Galing na reflection.
But this one is not a reflection. This is true. Tamang, ito, totoo na yan.
Ate, yun lang.
Sige na, magpuno naman tayo dito sa malaki. Sige. Yan na lang sa malaki. Pindutin na lang natin. Paano ba? Okay, isang lima. O yan, ayan. O yan. Teka, luma. Ayan, squeeze. Wala. Papa. Walang tao. Walang nagsinig yung banda.
Guys, if I could get you please come back on the pathway. Thank you. We'll actually be down there later. Oh yeah, when we get down there, that's on the going up side. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, as you look over the handrail to the right, so as you look over the handrail to the right, you're going to be peering down to what we call Pluto's Chasm. It's about 500 feet in length.
Wow.
Its greatest difference between ceiling and floor is about 90 feet. And it's actually home to the most centralized formation within the cavern. That being a large white calcite formation you see to the far left end of our viewing area. Now the formation is called Pluto's Ghost. The first part, Pluto, pays homage to the Roman god of the underworld. Now the second part, Ghost, comes from our first explorers as they made their way throughout the cavern. As they continued to meander throughout, they kept wandering back into the chasm, each time at a different point, closer unto the large white formation. Now this would make it appear unto them as if a specter were following them throughout. Eventually they'd come to realize its centralized nature and use it as a landmark to always find their way out when finished with explorations. Now, as we continue on throughout the cavern, I do ask that you please once again watch your head and watch your step, as the area we'll be passing through was once called Elf and Ramble.
Watch your head and watch your
Yes. And the children is
Ako maliligaw kayo, hindi niya alam saan ang maiiwa kayo, hindi niya alam saan lalabas. Careful. Ayaw siguro paniti yung may ilaw. Uy,
Yeah, stalactites and stalagmites. Stalagmites. Beautiful nature. Nature's best. God's creation.
Attention!
that's where they're passing. What are those green ones that they're not mold?
So the green, that's cave moss.
Huh?
Green is cave moss. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in what's called the main.
Oh my god.
Hello! Drapery formations in the world. Wow. Yes, drapery. Now, drapery's form is water come down over a slopestone, and then it'll trickle back and forth underneath the ledge, creating the drape-like look. The process takes about 160 years to form 1 cubic inch of formation. Yes, 1 cubic inch, 160 years. Now, they can also form so that they become translucent, which you see here in perfect example is just inside that far right-hand side. Formation is about 1/8 of an inch thick. It's officially called the cave background. Now, if I could draw your attention over this globe canvas.
Ito na lang sa station ko. Ako naman. This one's cool.
Ganda dyan eh.
Dua kami mo.
Yeah. Watch out for this eh.
City underneath the ground.
Yeah.
And you, this is only, there's two people there. You know, someone is
Yeah.
Again, you know.
Yeah. It's like a curve, right?
What nature can do.
Yeah.
duck my head in, get a cool photo. They just end up getting a the poor guy who's angry because he's throwing out an accident report, but he's laughing because he told you so. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Giant's Hall. The chamber is said to have a ceiling so tall it could fit a giant within. And leave it to Mother Nature, but she put a giant in. As right over here is a large formation called the Giant. It stands about 47 feet in height, making it the tallest within the cavern. Now the formation is also an example of what we call a double column. This is due to the stalactite here, growing all the way down to create a column, while stalagmite grows up beside it and meets in the middle here to create the double column effect. The formation has also gained a nickname, Bride and Groom. This is a celebration of some over 500 weddings that comes to the chamber just up ahead. But before we leave this chamber, I would like to point out another statistic. We are now at the deepest point of our tour, which is about 164 feet beneath the surface of the Earth, or over 16 stories down. Does anybody have any questions? The last time something fell was over 7,000 years ago. Now, we do also get asked a lot of times.
Nothing lately.
Yeah, nothing lately.
7,000 years ago.
About 10 years ago, that caused damage to the Washington Monument up in D.C. Happened until they got back up topside. So let's go continue on to our next one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this chamber originally opened to the public as the Cavern's ballroom, complete with a wooden dance floor, live band, and elaborate candelabras suspended from the ceiling above. In the 1950s, the chamber was renamed Cathedral to celebrate Leland W. Sprinkle of Springfield, Virginia, completing his work on the great Stalacpipe organ in 1957. Now, Mr. Sprinkle would spend 3 years tapping out over 3,000 stalactites in an area spanning roughly 3.5 acres to find 2.9 chromatic octaves and create the world's largest naturally forming musical instrument by area. The idea came from vibrate and produce sound. Now, to overcome sound delay, Mr. Sprinkle would add an additional piece called a magnetic pickup, which you can see an excellent example of over there as well. It's a small red piece. It acts very similar to a microphone, and it takes the sound via wire and transmits to amplifiers so it can be heard without sound delay. Which opened back in 1954, and since then has collected around $1.2 million that's been donated to various charities and non-profit organizations.
Oh, spooky. More spooky here. Going to the grave. Oh. Oh, stop. Oopsie.